Okay, now that we got this idea of this logo bouncing back and forth, this actually introduces a lot of different games that we could create just by changing a little bit of stuff, adding some variables and building some stuff up. We see it constantly moving. What if I was randomly drawing instead of it moving back and forth? What if, so let's just look at something a little bit different. So if we have this logo, we have this bouncing back and forth that's constantly moving. Now, maybe that might be, some type of bug game where the bug is constantly moving and we got to try to click within its borders, so we could test the collisions if the distances are, within a certain amount. We could do that. And if we clicked it while it was in there, I could have, a score increment up, and I could have a timer that's decreasing down to 0. Okay. What's some other games that we could create? Well, we could maybe do kind of like a target game. Instead of it constantly moving where I see it, maybe I'm having to try to keep the mouse inside of the boundaries of that shape as it's moving. That could be difficult. And if I wanted to increase complexity, maybe I might want to have where this is randomly changing that x speed or that y speed, or it's changing the x speed or the y speed values when it hits, or at some random time, so that it looks like it's speeding up or it's slowing down. I could also do something where instead of me having this move the entire time, maybe I'm picking some random position inside of my canvas that is just drawing. So it will just display it for maybe a certain amount of time, and I have to click it within that time frame. And if I do, it's adding to the score. If I don't, I could lose some points. But after so much time passes, it redraws it in a different location. Okay. So there are a number of ways that we could play with this. We could even have the size. So I do got some examples of that. Let's see. Border. What did I call it? Stay in the ring game. Okay, so here's an example. We have it bouncing. Each time it moves, see it changed direction. That could be based off of some type of random percentage. If I wanted to do that, the speed could be changing over time. Maybe so many frames it speeds up. So the background is changing. Like, look, when I'm in the area, it's green. When I'm out, it's red, and the time that score stops. Now this is kind of an example of like a procedurally generated game, because I don't have to keep adding that randomness that is doing it automatically itself. It's doing it by percentages, and I'm just trying to get the best score. If I wanted to try to adjust the difficulty of this, I could have the size maybe get smaller over time. So this is just kind of an example. And we could just start thinking of different ways that we can reuse old code to create new things. Okay, so let's look at then, we have, so I'll walk through a very simple example. We already know mouse pressed. So this is not the way that we would probably build the game, but we could create some object and do something simple to this. So let's say let target, what do I want to do with this target? We want to build it. Every target is going to have an X, which I could do random. That could be, let's say 50, how about 25, and width minus 25. So I keep it within the borders. Actually, let's do 26 and 26. We keep it 1 pixel off the border. Y, same thing, random. Let's do 26 and height minus 26. And let's see, we'll have a size. Size is going to be that 26 times 2. So that'd be 50. Well, let's just do 50. So we keep it that 1 pixel away. I could have a display where it's going to display that circle at this.x, this.y, this.size. Okay. I could add a specific function for drawing. What am I doing? So we have a display. Now I want to change location. I'm going to write a function for that, and I'm going to say this.x is equal to a random. Basically, I want to pick some random position, just like this. And let's do one for a y. This.y is this. Okay. Now this I want to be event-based. So I could display my target, target.display. But when I am pressing the mouse, in this case, when I'm pressing the mouse, I could test if the mouse position is a certain distance away from the center of the target. If it is, then I can have a collision, I can up my score, and I can also change the location. So change location of the target. So when I click, I'm switching locations. Okay. Now I could have maybe a certain score is also changing the size. So change size. Maybe I want to put, a value in it. Maybe I want to decrease the size. So let's say I'm decreasing the size by 5. What does that mean? Well, I could say this.size plus equals, how about amount? That would be a better thing. So I'm adding that amount to it when I change that size. I could say something like, let's say, if the score is, when I'm clicking, if score is greater, how about every time that I get 10 points. So if every time I get 10 points, an easy way to do this, score divided by 10. Now this is modulo, so I'm looking at just the remainder. If I divide my score by 10 and I have no remainder, then I could say, well, you know what? I scored. What does that mean? It means that I have a collision. So, it means that I've gotten 10 points. So then I could say target dot size. Change size. Target, change size, change size. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place right now. I want to shrink it down by 5. So now I have to have some variable that is going to be held. Maybe this is some variable that starts when the game starts. So maybe score starts at 0. And every time I click and I change that location, I want to increase the amount up. So I could do that. Now, I'm going to put it here in the mouse press. It's not accurate here because it's not that I'm actually clicking on it. But you guys do have that code, so I don't need to go through that again. Okay, so we could say score plus plus. We're incrementing up by 1. So now we could see I click, 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 click. And we should see the size start to get smaller. every 5 times that I do it. See how it's getting smaller? Let's do a bigger value. So let's say we're doing 15. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, this is 10, excuse me. Let's do 5 clicks. 5 clicks, it shrinks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, see that got smaller? Smaller by 15. Or maybe instead of doing that, I'm adding 15 to it. So we could run it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, got bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, got bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could, completely change the game to I have to keep it from actually hitting the edge, or maybe I need to keep my mouse from hitting it and it's moving away. So there's multiple ways that I can just kind of change how the game is going. Maybe this is randomly showing up. I need to click it quickly, and I'm checking for a score. Maybe I'm having it where I want multiple of these shapes to get added and I need to keep dodging. Maybe the shape is moving back and forth and I need to move around it and keep dodging to stay away from the shapes, and that's how I'm generating a score. I mean, there's so many different options once we actually start having a little bit of this code that we can start thinking of the mechanics. Now, in terms of what does that really mean? I mean, when we start looking at games like, some type of spaceship game, this is not much more complex. I have movement, but what do I really got there? I really just have shapes that I just threw some images on, okay? That's really how we get our games to look more complete, is because we start adding skins to it, okay? But really, it's just built off of shapes. This laser, it's really just a long shape that I drew, and then I'm just stretching a laser picture on top of it. My spaceship is really just a picture put on top of my shape. That's my hitbox, okay? So really, that's all we're looking at, and that's what I want you guys to start thinking about when you're thinking about game design, is what that means. Build the mechanics, plan out your mechanics, and then when you're done, that's when you can start adding images, okay? So that's the different types of versions. We're going to start going through different types of versions of games. You guys are going to start creating some different versions of games that you guys can start implementing and we can start playing, as a class. All right, good luck. Have fun.